This is not the right one. There's got to be another one.
Good afternoon. Hi, so great to see you all. Is anyone here for the first time? Oh, welcome. My name is Kimberly Goodman, and I'm the executive director here at the McConnell Art Center. You are in the original Worthington High School that was built in 1915, and then in 2009 was remodeled as the McConnell Art Center. So you are more than welcome to take a look around after you're done. We have the Ohio Governor's Youth Art Exhibition, Region 1. We host the Region 1 here at the MAC. And the art that you're going to see is extraordinary. It's all done by high school students. And believe it or not, it's not even the best of the art. This is just one of the regions. This art didn't even make the state level. And I'm doing air quotes because when you see the art, you will be very impressed. So please take a look around after you're done. After this event is done. This event is going to be live streamed for those that can't attend in person. So if you have your cell phones, if you could make sure the ringers are off, those are very loud on the stream. I wanted to tell you about a few upcoming events, never a shortage of events at the MAC. This Friday evening, just in a couple of days, we have one of our documentary film series from Exhibition on Screen, which is The Dawn of Impressionism, Paris 1874. So that's 7 p.m. in this room this Friday. On Saturday, we are showing a sensory-sensitive screening of the animated film Sing. This is for our friends and neighbors who may not be able to attend a traditional film screening, and so that is at 10 a.m. It's $5 for children, and adults who accompany them, that is free. And this summer, we have a lot of ways for you to engage with us. First of all, the Worthington Arts Festival will take place on June 14th and 15th. And we are going to have a VIP breakfast, which ensures that you get good parking. That's the part I always worry about. So more details about that coming soon. Also, we are collaborating with the fashion designer Celeste Malvar Stewart to do something called Farm to Fashion. We did this in, I think it was 22, and we're bringing it back, where we'll start our day here, and then we will take a road trip to Springfield to a farm to meet the sheep and alpaca that Celeste uses to make her fiber art and her couture dresses that she makes. She's an incredible person, incredible artist, so more information about that soon. And then the last thing is we are starting something called Mac on the Road. So we're taking this show on the road, and we have 9 weeks of summer camp, so our building is very active, and we don't have the opportunity to do things like this. So we are going to go to the Columbus Museum of Art, we're going to go to the Springfield Museum of Art, and we are going to go to the Billy Ireland Cartoon Museum on the Ohio State campus and a couple of other places. So again, more information about that very soon. We would love for you to go with us, have some field trips together. And I want to let you know about our guest speaker today. So I first met Johneen Griffin many years ago. She told me about the legacy of art from her late husband, B.C. Collins. They were married over 40 years, and she very much wanted to share his art in a public way, which I think is extremely touching. So excited to learn about his life and his beautiful legacy. Welcome, Johneen.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Johneen Griffin, and I was married to BC. He was also known as Bill. His real name was William Allen Collins. And so I'm going to tell you about him today. We're going to start with information about his sign making, because that's how he made a living. You know, it's kind of hard to be an artist and make a living. Some of you know me and know BC, some of you don't. I don't want to just be the only one up here talking, so I'm going to come to some places where I may ask you some questions and see if you can answer them. So as you can see, that's BC. I have to remember to use the microphone because I'm not used to that. That's BC with his painting, and this is about living with him. He was born in Columbus, Ohio, and he spent most of his life in Columbus, Ohio. He started as a sign artist probably in the late 70s. Before that, he went to Columbus College of Art and Design, and he went to Germany, and he traveled in Europe. So there's a picture of him when he was a baby. And he grew up in Linden in Republic Avenue House, and so he did a painting of that house. He graduated from Bishop Watterson High School in the 60s. When he went to Columbus College of Art and Design, he lived in the Merton Boyd Gallery House. It was on Broad Street. That is a sketch, whoops. That was a sketch that he did in 1972 when it was going to be torn down. So it was on Broad Street, and it was near Franklin Park Conservatory. It had 17 fireplaces. Merton Boyd was a man who was ahead of his time and had a gallery there, and a lot of people came to see his paintings that he purchased. And BC and Dennis and some of his friends all got ready for the shows. So when he came back to Columbus, he was trying to figure out what to do. He met a shirt-tail cousin by the name of Bill Joyner, who had a shop called Stone Signs in the Short North. So BC decided maybe I could be a sign maker, and his work was seen throughout Central Ohio. I've just picked out some of his work: the Short North, OSU, German Village, Worthington, and Delaware. I started with Worthington because we're in Worthington. So I think that maybe you'll recognize some of these places, and I'm going to ask you some questions to see if you do. You may wonder, how did he come up as the sole owner of prices? So we have these, I don't know if you can see them, but they're these little books that are the computer graphics printing and then sign writer's guide. So he would use that, but he never used the amount that was in there because he figured his overhead was less. He did his work at the shop, at Bill Joyner's shop, at the place where he's doing the sign, in our backyard, in the garage, in the house, wherever he could. So PK O'Riordan's in Celtic Corner. Anybody know where PK O'Riordan's was? On High. Okay. Anybody else? What'd you say, Tom? You drank more than one time there. Okay. Well, you guys know where the Whitney House is? On High? That's where PK O'Riordan's was. So you would go in the side, and then that entrance, there was a leprechaun door that BC painted. And he painted everything on the inside. Now, Celtic Corner didn't last as long. I think it was on the west side of High Street. I looked it up, and I think it was there 4 years. BC did the Old Bag of Nails. That was the first one that Mike Purdom had, and he was able to get part of the Ace Hardware store and made that into the Bag of Nails. So BC designed the logo, he created the sign, he hung the sign. The brackets were done by Fortin. If you look at Bag of Nails today, the front sign is the same sign that BC created, redone. There's also a bracket, at least the last time I looked, hanging out the side. Nothing's on it. So BC had done a circular sign there, and it had a bag on it that was actually made from burlap, and the inside were actual nails. I don't know how he secured them, some kind of glue, I'm sure. But he always figured out some way to do it. And then Scotty McBean, anybody tell me what's there today? Sandy? No, there's no coffee there anymore. Good guess, though. Anybody else? Jet's Pizza. So Scotty, I don't know how long it lasted, but as you can see, he did that whole big, long sign along the top. And a lot of times he cut those letters out by himself with a router. Angels on High was right next to Celtic Corner. I don't know much about that. McAllister's was a camera shop on South Street and High. Anybody know what's there today? I don't know if the sign's still there, but I think Lennon Heads is there, or Lemon Heads, something like that. It's a salon. So there's another sign of Scotty's in the back. That was a sandblasted wood sign. So when he made a sandblasted wood sign, he got a material kind of like a rubber, and he cut out the parts that he wanted sandblasted, and he covered the parts he didn't want sandblasted. And then he had it done by Columbus Memorial, I think. So he worked with a lot of companies to have this done. And you see the Bag of Nails sign then that is jutting out of the old Bag of Nails there in Worthington. The sign's gone. I want you to look the next time you go by there and see if the bracket's still there. Because that would be, I think it is. He did the signs on the green. I think you probably recognize those. There's signs on the green all the time telling us what's going to happen in Worthington. We lived in Worthington for 22 years. And the Fine Lines presentation, you really can't see that very well. But I wanted to bring something that would show you what he would bring to a customer. So sometimes he would get his signs by word of mouth. And so he'd go and see a customer, and he would bring his portfolio. And he would show them the pictures in the portfolio. I'll leave this out for you to look at when I take a break. But at the back, he's got a picture of our two boys and a picture of me holding one of them when I was young. So he would take that, and maybe then the customer would be interested, and he'd talk to them about what they wanted, and then he would do a design, sometimes come up with a logo. He never charged extra for the logo. So for Fine Lines, as you see here, he has two different drawings. I think the one that is on the bottom was for the window, and that he used vinyl, and you spray that, cut it out, and put it on there. I think the other was an actual wood sign that he made and put on. Anybody remember where Fine Lines was? No. Okay. I think it was on High Street. I'm trying to remember what's there now. I'm sorry, can't hear you. It could be. I don't really remember what's there, to be honest with you. I should have looked that up, but I didn't. Okay, so BC did a lot of signs in Columbus. As you can see, this is Cousins Army and Navy, and he painted pictures of people on there, and Raleigh bikes. So sometimes BC liked to trade for items rather than get paid. But he would get paid for the material, and then we would get items. So from Army, Navy, we got sleeping bags that were down sleeping bags that we could use for our kids. In Raleigh's, we got two 15-speed bicycles. I didn't do well with mine. I sold mine, but he kept his forever. He loved it. He did a lot of truck lettering. Noseworthy's was a consignment shop that had clothes, vintage clothes. And I really liked that design, so I put it on there. Bob McDermott, he did some signs for him, and he would also install the signs for the most part, sometimes not. Studio 35, anybody ever been there? The sign they have now is similar, but not the same. So he did that sign a very long time ago. This is Noseworthy's mural, again, with BC in front of it. So you can see, I think that was when he was getting his hair permed. You know, back in the 80s, well, I had mine permed. He had his permed. It was on High Street, I think maybe OSU area. I'm not positive. So I put this in here because Art and John Steffens helped BC stay alive the first year he was a sign artist because I was in Illinois teaching then. We had met, but I had gone to Illinois. I had a job there. So they hired him, they found him through Bill Joyner, and they hired him to do these paintings. And he did takeoffs on famous ads. So as you can see, when it rains, eat Sandro's is what that says. And it's the Morton Salt Girl. And Sandro's had pizza by the slice. It was one of the first, and it was in OSU in 2 different places. He did several other ones. He did American Gothic for them, and I honestly don't remember what it said, and he did Cutty Sark for them also. In the Brewery District, BC did Hoster Brewery signs. Now, up in the front there, I hate this, not used to this. There are signs of Hoster's trucks. Now you have to imagine, we're on South Street at this point. He has the truck in the backyard. It's dark. He has an opaque projector to project the painting on the side of the truck. So it's kind of like making a pattern. Any of you sew? No, some people don't sew that much anymore. So he would make a pattern of what he wanted to paint on there, and then he would use a little tool to make holes. And then he'd put it up there, the paper, and he would pounce it with a sock with coal in it. Pounce, 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 pounce. You know, you don't do that anymore nowadays with computers and stuff. You use Mylar. But that's what he did, and then he stood in the backyard and painted it. So most of what he did by hand because it was before computers. By the 2000s, he was working with Joyner to use his machine so he could use vinyl. We didn't buy a machine. It was way too much money. So you see a projecting sign for Hoster. Now, I think Tom passed around the Hoster Brewery brick wall. It was not a brick wall. It was linen in 3 pieces that folded so you could put it up. It was used kind of as a divider. So he painted it to make it look like a brick wall. And then he painted the Hoster sign and 2 other signs on the side. I don't know how long Hoster's was down there, but it's gone now. There is a Hoster Street. I don't know what happened to the brick wall. If BC could have gotten it before they left, we'd have it in the garage. That's what he did with a lot of things that he made. They were like his children. So he painted the king here, Gambrinus, a beer. Okay, so anybody eating at the Iron Grill? Okay, I see some signs, yes. Recently or in the past? Past? Tom? Recently or in the past? Oh, with me, yeah, I know. So the pig iron was the idea of Mike Purdom also. So he did the bag of nails. BC did a lot of bag of nails signs for Mike. He opened the pig iron, a soft opening. I guess a lot of restaurants have a soft opening. And at that time, it was supposed to be called Mike and Wally's. They had a partnership, I assume. And BC had painted the pig to say Mike and Wally's. We went to the opening. And there must have been a problem because after that, BC had to repaint the pig. and it became the Iron Grill. And then if you see in the one photograph where it's the pig iron in the back, all of those were kind of like blackboard signs painted to look like chalkboard. And Mike's idea was to have it like a Louisiana barbecue, kind of a shack type thing. At one time, there was a pink truck there. Anybody remember that? You do? There was all kinds of problems in Clintonville about the pink truck. They did not like it, but they liked the pig. BC created it so that it had LED eyes. And then Mike sold it to a guy named Jimmy V, and it became the Iron Grill, so BC painted the pig again. And it says, today, it says Iron Grill. Now, the last time I was at the Iron Grill with BC was in 2020 before he died. We went there because I had heard that one of the back hooves had been invaded by a bird. It's made of high-density urethane, so I assume the bird could peck at it enough to get in there and make a nest. So BC wanted to fix it. And he went there, this is during, COVID, and he told them, I want to fix that hoof. And they said, we can't pay you. And he said, I don't care. And he fixed it, and he said it was good until his demise, which was in 2020. Buckeye Hall of Fame Cafe, he did the reproduction of the championship logo. That also was done by high-density urethane. Now, somebody else probably could have had a machine that would cut that out. Not BC. He cut it out by hand. And he reproduced it, and he put gold leaf around the football. And the invitation is on the left, so you can kind of see we were invited to the opening. It's another situation where if we could have gotten that before they closed the Buckeye Hall of Fame Cafe, I'd have that. He did not do the neon, so he had somebody else do that. We went and looked at the Buckeye Hall of Fame Cafe in Grandview to see if it was there. It wasn't. So who knows what happened to it, but there was an auction. Maybe somebody bought it. I don't know. So these are signs in the Short North, and really the Short North is where BC started doing signs pretty much. We were really lucky with where we lived because of what was happening when we lived there. So when we lived in the Short North, it was 1980 and it was ghetto. I mean, we had people shooting at each other on our street. We were urban pioneers. You can see a picture there of BC painting on the actual wall of Lincoln TV there. And up above, he also painted that. Sometimes back in that summer, I would help him. He'd do the outside, I'd do the inside. And sometimes the winos would want to help me get down off the scaffolding. And I would say, no, that's okay. I can do it by myself. So this was when Sandy Wood took over the Short North and started fixing up buildings. And BC did all kinds of buildings in the Short North. 50 East Lincoln, I wanted you to see that besides the fact that it's another sandblasted wood sign. I wanted you to hear this story. He made a sign that was about big enough for a postcard because the Italian Village Commission didn't want it to be too big and take away from the architecture of the building. I mean, they could use it for their address. That was the size. So he had to take the Italian Village Commission on a field trip, past the building, do a mock-up to show them what the sign would look like if it was an actual sign that people could see. And that's what he did. And he was able to make another one. He did a lot of Italian village signs. We lived in Italian village at the time. And things were improving. We had HUD money to fix our house up. So BC spent a lot of his time doing that. And he also spent time taking the kids to St. Mary's Elementary School in German Village in his truck. He did vinyl on windows like Mary Catherine's and PM Gallery. He painted on awnings. So Columbus Awning would make the awning and then he would paint on it. And then I just thought this was a cute picture of the Russian tea room, which of course is not there anymore. He did the paintings of the little Russian women, kind of cartoonish on there. So I'm going to take a little break here for 10 minutes. You please come up and look at what I have up here and be back at 1:40. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started with the second part. It's nice to take a break. Thank you. So I started with BC's art statement, and I'm hoping you can read it, but I don't know if the people who are seeing it can read it, so I'm going to read it. I love the aesthetics of all styles of art, but using oil, I favor creating atmospheric qualities in my realistic to abstract paintings. The mesmerizing full moon is important in my life. I often portray it in my paintings. So when you look at the paintings up here, I brought one with the full moon in it. I really wanted you to see that. When you see the pictures on the slideshow, they don't do justice really to his paintings. I had a semi-professional take pictures. I think they're good pictures, but they don't give you the depth or the feeling that you get when you see the actual painting. And that's why I brought 4 paintings and 3 oil pastels. So Tom, here's the next one to go around. Juried exhibitions. As far as I know, this is the first juried exhibition BC entered in. He was at Columbus College of Art and Design then. He was living in the castle, big house, estate. It's called Kill Not Another's Love. It was his anti-Vietnam painting. If you see the copy coming around, you can look and see there are some, it's really a collage because he put some newspaper clippings on there upside down of people, probably from Vietnam. I don't know for sure. It was 1 out of 50 paintings chosen out of 500 submitted. This is called Windy City. BC took a picture of the city of Chicago from the Bean in Millennial Park. And he reproduced, he made this painting, and we felt we should call it Windy City because the buildings look like they're bending. And they're bending because of the bean itself, which is, I don't know, like a bean. There's a party going on. I don't know where he got that idea, but he painted that. And then under the boardwalk was from a painting, a picture from one of our trips, either to South Carolina or Florida. It's really a pier, not a boardwalk, but he named it, I didn't. And I really was amazed at the shadows and the movement of the water underneath. It just, sometimes he was very exact. And you'll see that, you know, many of the paintings he's done, or some of the paintings he's done, are from places that we've been, or he's been. Blue Moon Escape, I got him to do that painting for a contest for Blue Moon Art Project in 2008. He got honorable mention, $100, and a party with all the beer you could drink. Blue Moon, of course. And he liked beer, and I liked Blue Moon, but didn't drink too much. So what I'm going to show you now are some murals he did. These were all commissioned. The Columbus Skyline, BC, completed in 1992. This and the next 2 that I'm going to show you were kept in our garage. It really worried me to keep them there. I didn't think that was a good place for them. And when he passed away in 2020, I decided I was going to find places for them. The Columbus Skyline started out being 30 feet long, 6 feet high, in 3 panels. It was commissioned by Sears, but Discover Card for their store out on the west side, I think. Then that changed over to AT&T, and then it changed over to some other company, and they didn't want the painting anymore. A friend of ours told BC, if you want it, come get it. So guess what? He went and got it. He later on cut 5 feet off of it, so it's now 25 feet long. And I was really lucky to connect with Donna Collins, who was no relation to BC. She's with the Ohio Arts Council, and she was interested in having me loan them this painting. Little did I know it was up on the 33rd floor of the Rhodes Tower. They came and got it. They wrapped it. They transported it. I don't know how they got it up there, but they did. Later, then, I was asked to give 15 minutes of fame information to them about BC. And I practiced. Tom helped me with that. And the president of the board at the time was interested in purchasing it. So she purchased it from me and then turned around and donated it to the Ohio Arts Council. So if you want to see it, you can see it, but it is a restricted area. It's not real easy to get up there. He put the Santa Maria in there later. They asked me how long did it take him to paint it. It's oil on linen. It took him 5 months. Now, I think he probably mainly focused on it and didn't do much else. One of those buildings had 500 windows. And he painted each and every one of them. So I just really love that painting. Lazarus in Central Market, he did for a guy named Buddy Capuano. Buddy Capuano had a deli, I think, on High Street near Lazarus. These two paintings are 12.5 feet by 6 feet. He had them kind of going around corners, so you can't really see that when you look. Maybe you can in the Central Market painting, but not so much the Lazarus painting. I wanted to donate them also because they were in the garage. And I contacted Garth's, which Garth's will do, or at least used to do, art appraisals. Garth's isn't around anymore. But I contacted them, and you have to pay a lot of money, I thought, to have them do these appraisals. If I'm going to donate it, I can't say, oh, I think it's worth $10,000. It just doesn't work that way. Even though I do think they're at least that. So because it costs like $300 and some for 3 hours and you have to do 3 hours, it's like, okay, you're going to do a bunch of paintings for me and not just the ones I'm going to donate. So the Lazarus painting and the Central Market painting are at the Jewish Historical Society. You can go there and see it for free. I donated them there. I was kind of surprised they were interested in the Central Market because I had no idea that the Jewish community liked to shop there. And it was destroyed in the 60s here in Columbus. It was where the bus station was, I think. At least that's what I've heard. So I also had the Skyline appraised. And when I had them appraised, I sent the information to both of my sons. And my oldest son was not happy. You know, he really felt that all the paintings should be appraised for more. And he put a very derogatory rating on Yelp against Garth's. At the time, I think the Lazarus Building was appraised for $800 and the Columbus Skyline mural was appraised for $1,500. Jeff Jeffers called me. He was the owner of Garth's, and spent some time explaining to me why they appraised the paintings for what they were appraised, because BC didn't try to sell his work that much. he was shy about that. He didn't think he was a great artist. He kept most of his paintings. So people wouldn't have known him. And Jeff said that either people would buy something because of an investment, or they would buy it because it would go with their decorations. So they did agree to reappraise the buildings because they had historical value, and they reappraised the skyline for $2,500. And I don't remember which one of these they did 1,000 and one 1,500. So they raised those 3 appraisals. BC hated doing portraits. I think his struggles were because he was a sign artist, he was very precise, and it was hard for him to let go. He wanted things to look exact, at least at the beginning of his work. So Keith is our oldest son. He went to Afghanistan in 2002 as a firefighter. He graduated from Thomas Worthington High School in 2000. He is now working to have a high school reunion for their 25th year this year in August. They couldn't have it in 2020. So he is still a firefighter. He is in New Mexico right now, but you can see he's in his uniform hat. When he was there, there wasn't really even a firehouse yet. It was September of 2002 that he went to Afghanistan. On the right is, yeah, you're right, is Queen Johneen. That's me. Why is it called Queen Johneen? Because he put gold leaf around it. And that's the only time I was queen, believe me. On both of those, you probably can't see it, but on Keith's, there's some feelings he had at the time about being in the war and how we should be able to get along with people. And there's a very small, brief poem I wrote on my portrait. So Kyle is our youngest son. He loved Superman. He was in high school at the time, I think, and he graduated from 2002 from Thomas Worthington High School. He's a major in the Army. He's currently in California working on his master's degree out of the Army in analytics. That's me in the pinup. That was at Buckeye Lake from a photograph. I only have 2 self-portraits of BC. I'll never let them leave my ownership. On the left is Life in the Full Moon. I don't know if you can see it, but he has paintbrushes in his hand. The full moon is there, and in the background, which you really can't see, are some of the famous museums that he loved in Europe. On the right is BC with a Corvette. It's a life-size Corvette. He did it for a company in Delaware called Classics that was on 3637, going up to 521 and the Career Center. So I worked in Delaware. I worked at a lot of different places in Delaware, and that kind of gave him some connections for work. He did a sign for the Delaware Area Career Center. This is our oldest granddaughter, Victoria. He did 2 portraits of her. On the left, she is in the tree in the play area in the mall. You know where I mean? They can't play there anymore. So she's 8 now, and she wants to know why she can't play there anymore. And on the right is Victoria when we went to see Disney on Ice. So it's from a photograph. I got BC to do a painting with Victoria. She wasn't quite 3. I have a video of it, but I didn't put it here because I might cry, and I don't want to cry. But she chose, he would give her the paintbrushes, and she would, paint on there. She has the painting. I think it belongs to her. And we wondered who was the amateur and who was the artist. He did a lot of landscapes, I think might have been one of his favorite things to do. Stylized by Nature, you'll see, is right down there. He worked and worked and worked and worked on that. Yeah, I think it's on there. It took him forever to get the koi and the movement of the water and the lilies and everything just right. And I think if you look at it, you can see why I wanted you to see the actual painting. Tagahut, and I don't even know if I'm saying that right, is somewhere on the way to Morocco. He spent a lot of time in Morocco and Spain and Germany and the Netherlands. Family Tree is a huge painting that I have on the wall in the kitchen. It's 5 feet by 7 feet. He called it Family Tree because he and I liked sycamore trees. In the front is BC and me in the front of the tree where it branches, and the 2 trees in the back are Keith and Kyle. And we were all born in the fall, and he loved the full moon, so you can see the full moon there. We were married on a full moon, and he passed away on a full moon. If you could see the painting, everybody who sees the painting loves this painting. And at the bottom of the larger branch, he put a little heart with his initials and my initials. Kind of cute. On the right, one on the bridge, I mean, that looks to me like a photograph. It's not. It's super realistic painting of a bridge in Amsterdam, Vondelpark. On the back, BC put a poem that I wrote. And he did that quite often. Imouzer, Morocco was a place he loved to go. I'm sure it's not like that anymore. This was in the 70s. And I mean, if I brought this painting, you would see that the water is moving and it's different depths. I could only bring so many. And the full moon is in that one also. Fog rolling in is actually the Olentangy River across from Antrim Park. So when we lived on South Street, you could go all the way west to, I never remember the name of the street. I want to say Riverside, but it might not be. And you walk all the way to the end south, and then you come across a park. It wasn't a park when we were there, but it's a park now. And then you just walk in there and go down to the river, and that's opposite of Antrim Park. You're shaking your head. It sounds like you know where I'm talking about. We went there a lot with our family. I took my mom down there one time, and BC took a photograph and did this painting from there. I love this painting. Honestly, there's a few I don't like, okay? But don't tell him. This was one little saying from what he loved. The mesmerizing full moon is important in my life. So moonbow, he took that from, we went to Corbin, Kentucky. It's one of 2 places in the world where the falls go just the right direction so that when the spray goes up in the air and the moon is full, you get a moonbow. So we went there for our anniversary, and I think he kind of created the moonbow. I don't remember seeing it, but maybe he did. And then by full moonlight. The next part is about places. So Main Street Bridge, Keith has that one, and I think BC did that one because he liked the shape of the new bridge on Main Street. The Ponte Vecchio, he did that painting for friends of ours and got it in trade, a 1992 BMW car, convertible. He loved that car. The Irish Cottage, I commissioned that for my mother, and that's the only watercolor I know of that BC did. And again, it's another one. It's on the wall in our bedroom. And She liked it, but she didn't like the glaring glass. So we got non-glare glass, and then she didn't like that either. So across the Sahara, I wanted to bring that because it's a little bit different, more free. He actually did cross the Sahara in a truck with a jalava or whatever they call it on, and so that's his very brief feel about crossing the Sahara. Sedona, Arizona, we were there in 1992. That's a whole nother story. We went in a 1976 Volkswagen Westphalia camper. Keith was 11, Kyle was 9. We went across the whole country, and the starter didn't work. So I pushed it, and he popped the clutch all the way to California, and then half the way back. When we got to Arizona, I said, I think we better fix it. I don't want to push it in the desert. So Amsterdam, I brought that painting because I wanted you to see a painting with the full moon in it. And when he and I were in Amsterdam in 2009, we went past that windmill. We were on our way to Den Haag, The Hague, and we had to go back the same way so he could get a picture of it so he could paint it. And then he found that frame, and it says, the windmill. I think that's kind of cool. So in his description, he said he likes paintings with an atmospheric quality. I thought you would like this one. It's called New Year's Morning. It was New Year's morning in Tennessee. That's a whole nother story. I'll skip that one. So Exodus, he made up a story for Victoria about that one. She has that painting. No albatross, no wind. That is based on, he was on a Baltic trader once. That was way before my time. Wanted to be part of the sailing crew, but it didn't happen. And he likes the poem, the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. So there is a line there that says, like a painted ship upon a painted sea. And that's what that is. I mean, it's just amazing to me. He did two shows at Copious. Did any of you ever go to Copious? I think you did, Melissa. You were there once. Sandy was there. John and Karen were there. So Copious was a restaurant and a concept of a friend of ours, Terry Turner, and he got people to invest in it. It was in the Brewery District, a big yellow building. Upstairs was an event space where BC's 1992 Columbus painting was. On the main floor was the restaurant, and on downstairs was Notes, which was a music venue. I don't know how long it was there. It didn't seem like it was there very long. Maybe 3 years, 4 years. Big Red Flying Free was one of the paintings he sold there, and he was commissioned to do another painting by Maggie's daughter. She bought the Big Red Flying Free, and she commissioned a painting for BC. So he did sell some paintings at Copious twice. Didn't like it, but did it. This was his idea. He really wanted to do something, I don't know, like Dali would, or like Picasso would, something different, and struggled with that. So he decided to do great artists as pop art, and he did Renoir's La Toilette, and he did Monet's Bridge. And after he did Monet's Bridge, he just decided not to do anymore because it was so involved and took so long and hard to get it the way it should be. Renoir's La Toilette is at Dominic and Company. I have several paintings there and a few oil pastels which are for sale. It's on Bethel Road, in case you'd like to know. He liked to do paintings of lilies, so you can see like a actual lily and then more of a modern lily. And this is that Painting is also at Dominic's right now. Painting on objects, I brought objects home for him to paint on. So he did on 2 cupboard doors, he did the 2 oars. You can see the blue heron here. And when I brought the wood ironing board, he said, "That's it, no more. Don't bring me any more things to paint on." But he did paint a ship on it. Now, BC was a person who had strong feelings, and he specifically had strong feelings about the environment. Not everybody would agree necessarily, but that was his feeling. So he did this painting, Global Warming. It's 5 feet by 7 feet. It's huge. It's never been displayed anywhere. Clouds Foreshadowing was his concern about the taking of the Bears Ears Monument by the government. We'll just say it that way. It upset him. What's next was about the fires in Australia. So you know that there were some pretty bad fires, and I think might have been 2020, but he even has the full moon in there. You can kind of see it in the corner. And what ozone, I guess because maybe some people don't believe there's an ozone or what's happening to the ozone. He did some plain air. You know, that means that he didn't take a picture of it ahead of time. He just painted it. Reflections was a painting he did. It shows our house reflected in the ball, and that's our house on South Street. That was on display at High Road Gallery, along with one other one when they had a plein air show. Then our backyard, actually our backyard looked like that probably for a day or two. This was part of his statement. I didn't put it in earlier because I'm saying it here. He said about his sketches, he enjoys completing oil pastels from his travels. So, you have to imagine, I hope I did I pull something out? I did. Okay. I don't know how important that is, but anyway, he would carry this through TSA when we were going to various places, and it has his oil pastels in it, which they didn't know what that was, and they're worried about it, and they think it might be something he shouldn't have, and his paper. I just wanted you to show it to you because, you know, I had to deal with that. Okay, let me know if this is missing something here because I don't know what it goes to. Mommy Grasses was from Ohio. We went there for an anniversary, and it's up in northern Ohio. It's awesome. Kelly's Island, that's self-explanatory. These are from Arizona. We spent a lot of time in Arizona because our oldest son lived there for a while. Rhode Island, our youngest son lived there. Our sons have taken us many places. Cadillac Ranch, we actually painted the Cadillacs there. At one time, it's near Amarillo, Texas. So you'll see near the end of this that Columbus College of Art Design said that BC did abstract conceptualism. I didn't know what that was, so I looked it up. It says the idea or concept behind a work of art over its physical form or aesthetic appearance. So these, I thought, represent that. The scorpion in the rose actually meant more than that to BC because his best friend, Dennis Nash, always had, he had a bag because he was diabetic, and on the bag he had a rose and a scorpion because he was a Scorpio. And then he was a really good swimmer, so if you look on the bottom, you can see the swimmer kind of just accidentally ended up there. BC liked mandalas, so there's that. This is BC's reaction to 9/11. The one on the left is still up over at Dominic's Salon. I sold the one on the right. So some of these some have been sold, some have been donated, some have been given away, some I will not give to anybody. I just wanted you to see our house on South Street because BC spent a lot of time working on our houses. The one on Hamlet Street, we worked on it for 12 years, got it ready and moved. The one on South Street, we were there for 22 years. And so you can see the sketch that he made of it. The Porsche, not real. He painted that on cardboard or something, wanted to make it look like we had a Porsche in our garage. We left that there. I don't know if it still exists. So you can see the house the way it was when we moved in, the west side of it, and the house when we moved out. And there's been some changes of the landscaping in the front since we were there. That's his workspace in the garage. It was a 3-car garage with a loft, but no heat. He had a studio also in the garage where we live now. So I'm going to read again, just in case people watching can't read this. This is what CCAD said about BC. On June 28th, 2022, CCAD alumni Facebook posted the following. William B.C. Collins, CCAD 1964, is known for his landscape and portrait painting and abstract conceptualism. Today, we honor BC's legacy and the mark he has made on the art community of Columbus and beyond. So there he is. As an artist and sign maker, he was eclectic, I felt, in his approach. I selected the signs, paintings, and oil pastels for this presentation. It was hard, but I hope it represented a part of the breadth of his work. I'm proud and honored to present some of his work. And there's a website you can look at that is Worthington Memory that has more pictures and more information. And it also connects to the Columbus Library, which has similar paintings, but some different ones. So you already know I'm Johneen Griffin, and if you're interested in possibly purchasing a painting or an oil pastel, contact me at my phone or email. And there it is, and that's it. Oh. For Worthington Memory? Yeah. Can you see it okay? Well, I still have 70 some in the basement, and that doesn't include the oil pastels. I would say at one time I probably had 175 pieces, but that's a guess. I mean, I have a list at home I could tell you specifically, but I did keep a list of everything, and I have a photograph of everything. Paintings, not signs so much, although I have two albums full of pictures of signs. Anyone else? Yes. Okay, she's asked me on a personal level, when I talked with my friends, if we talked about our husbands, what was different maybe about him in my life than their husbands? Because he was an artist. Hmm, that's a good question. Well, many men are mainly the people who support their family, and I don't want this to sound like he didn't, because he did, but he supported us in a different way. So the main difference I would say is that, he did his sign making and he made some money that way. He worked on the house, both houses, and used his creativity that way. And he took care of the kids in the morning, took them to school when I was driving up to Delaware from downtown Columbus. So that would be a difference because he was around our children a lot, maybe more than some dads. And I think that was really special for my sons. And I would get phone calls at the Career Center. Johneen, where's Kyle's shoe? I don't know where Kyle's shoe is. So he took care of them in the morning, got them dressed, fed them breakfast, took them to school in the truck that had a bucket seat with one seatbelt. And somehow they survived that. Uh, so I was the person who made sure that we had insurance and we had a consistent income. So that I think that probably would be the main difference. But he was a really sweet person, very laid back, except when he drove. What would you say, John or Karen? What would you say? He was a free spirit. He was his own self, a free spirit like no one else, Sandy. So Sandy said that, and Sandy's been my longest known friend. We met in 1975. She was an art teacher. Anyway, she said that, there was a level of similar conversation that you would have with anyone, right? But then if you asked the right questions, you could kind of get it to a deeper level with BC. And he loved going there. Okay? Kept you for a long time, but thank you, everyone.